world order as we have known it until now, the West, more precisely, the world order established and dominated by the Anglo-Saxons, has come to an end. The world's defining powers, centers of power. They are currently shaping those new economic, political, and cultural frameworks in which we will presumably live for many decades. The big guys are working full steam ahead and are preparing with great momentum for the new era on establishing new geopolitical frameworks. Greenland, Canada, and Panama are highlighted in the daily discussions of international politics. As a result, the South China Sea and Taiwan frequently make headlines in the news. Great power preparations. Over the past decades, the Western liberal elite has devised and established a system referred to as woke capitalism. Western liberal politicians, they have substituted the principles of competitiveness and performance with the advocacy of diversity. They emphasize their position on the right side of history over competition, that they are on history's good side. They are the ones working for the correct order of the world. Indeed, they have effectively halted economic growth. They have caused inflation to skyrocket. Their factories keep closing. The value of wages has fallen alarmingly, but none of that matters. Who elevate themselves above the entire world with their moral views. A striking example of this is the green transition and the green economic plan, which is currently ruining the European coast. This is false capitalism. The good news, Americans are waking up. They realized if this goes on, the whole world will follow suit, but China will definitely march past them. If this continues, they won't write the future anymore. They might only be able to read it. And as time progresses, they will eventually lose the ability to comprehend what is occurring around them and to them. What everyone can see, if they have eyes to see, is that the Western liberal model of state organization referred to as liberal democracy, it has collapsed. It collapsed under its own weight, or more precisely, under the weight of its own mistakes. The place of this failure is indeed its homeland, the United States, a state that has ceased to serve its citizens and instead works against them. This is the core reason for the American uprising. The clash between American and Brussels systems is at hand. If things continue like this, the Union will be left out of the competition, its economy will falter, and its secure living conditions will cease. It doesn't want peace, but insists on war. It doesn't want border protection, but migrants. It doesn't protect families, but gender. They want green policies, not affordable energy. Our conscience is clear. We have spoken. We have said and warned, even in the face of serious controversy. The Hungarian presidency has said that the war weakens Europe. We will suffer defeat. More precisely, we have already suffered defeat. This is not a game. This is war. And the stakes are our own skin. If a war takes place on the European continent, we can only lose from it. All of us. Prices are sky high. Our money is being consumed by the Ukrainian front. The sanctions have hit our industries hard. And energy prices are crippling European companies that were competitive before the war. With Meloni leading the way, we launched a revolt against the migration policies imposed by Brussels. Like the big players, we Hungarians are also working on this, to become winners in the emerging New World Order, and in the New World Order that is expected to be sustainable. We updated the foundational structure of our economy back in the early 2010s. We have moved the emphasis of our tax system from work to consumption. Low taxes on labor, 1 million new jobs, achieving full employment, an environment that supports investments and businesses, ongoing increases in wages. Families have been positioned at the heart of our economy and society. We have included universities within the economic system. We set a new basis for research and innovation. As they say about us in America, we were already Trump before Trump. We are doing well on the economy, governance, and identity. We are at the forefront of the world, Not followers as we have been for centuries, but pioneers, model makers, model creators, brave experimenters. This is why we are seen as icons by Western conservatives and why Western liberals despise us wholeheartedly. The EU has isolated itself from China by calling it a systemic rival to one of the world's economic superpowers and launching a tariff war against it. The Union has also isolated itself from Russia. European leaders refer to the Russian-Ukrainian war as their own conflict and dismantled the pairing of cheap Russian energy with advanced European technology. Meanwhile, as Hungary leads, we Hungarians, we have been steadily building future cooperation with the Republican foes, who have meanwhile won a landslide victory. We have maintained a channel of communication and cooperation with Russia that guarantees reasonable energy security. Almost all Chinese high-tech investment to Europe comes to Hungary, and Hungarian water and agricultural expertise is welcomed everywhere in Africa. Meanwhile, European corporations have procured their Russian oil through some Asian back channels. In our country, families pay the lowest utility rates in all of Europe. We have curbed inflation so much that last year we were able to increase pensions in real terms. Above the increase in line with inflation, we were able to give pensioners another 150 billion. Wages have started to increase. We have doubled the family tax allowance. In addition to the student loan, we are introducing a worker loan. The budget deficit has decreased and the national debt has not increased. No one disputes that in these years. The growth of the Hungarian economy will be at least twice that of the European Union's economic growth. 450 billion forints worth of public investment will be launched. Hungarian small and medium-sized enterprises will receive 1,400 billion forints in 2025. The savings of Hungarian families are at least 1.5 times the European Union average. Ladies and gentlemen, in the light of this, the only question is whether Brussels is that way and we are this way. If they stand this way, we stand that way. So what will the relationship between Brussels and Hungary be like in the coming years? It could be said, if the EU is sick, then let it be sick, and Hungary should remain healthy. After all, we do not want to shape Europe. We just want to live our own lives as we want. And we are only interested in making sure that someone else doesn't hijack it. The Union is incapable of stopping illegal migration as well. The Union does not give any hope for the agricultural sector in Europe. With this in mind, I can safely say that Brussels does not think the European Union is sick at all. They think it is working exactly as it should. I have to say that the aim of European integration today is the integration itself. The right question is, or should be, whether or not common policies make member states more successful together than they would be separately. But for Brussels, the question is rather how common policies contribute to the creation of a supranational bureaucracy. How can we heal? How can we restore the union that aims for federalization? And that has targeted the elimination of state sovereignty as its goal. In brief, my response to this question is as follows. Change is essential. And this change must be achieved through political means, externally, and it can be accomplished through the conflicts we have with Brussels. Naturally, we should also take advantage of the tools available within the Union, like occasionally making agreements, but in fact we, Hungary, are opponents of the Brussels system. Consequently, we are also the opposition to the political elite. Let's talk straight. Brussels is under the occupation of an oligarchy, which is left-leaning, which is orchestrated by the liberal and transatlantic elite. This is a power structure. This is a global power system, not a European one. It is not democracy, but oligarchy. And it is not based on the sovereignty of nation-states, but rather on a federal system. We are under attack because we are sovereignists, even patriots. They are attacking us because we demand that the rule of law should also apply to Brussels. We are under attack because we demand that the fight against corruption should also apply to Brussels. Gentlemen, we know their fighting methods. They will use all means. If needed, they will promise you a job, scholarships, recognition, the spotlight, power, and money. If needed, they threaten with cash, fines, and financial penalties, and stripping voting rights. No illusions. There will always be those among us who will be frightened and think there is a lesser evil to choose from. If we do not put an end to this spiral of blackmail now, it will only worsen from this point on. The Polish conservative government has in fact been replaced by the bureaucrats in Brussels with the liberal Polish government of today. We see it. Their tools are not ineffective, and they are not safe. Our power isn't from Brussels, and it is not based on the left liberal elite's approval. We request and gain our authority from the European citizens. The West has a new patriot. Washington has welcomed a president who supports peace, rejects migration, and values family. Soon the sun will shine in a new way over Brussels. A new US president, a large patriotic faction in Brussels. Excitement is palpable. Tested patriots who love their homeland. Let the great push begin. I hereby launch the second phase of the operation to take Brussels. Thank you for listening. Go Hungary. Go Hungarians.